Welcome to the Northern Knits Podcast. We are two friends in fiber crafting and generally enjoying our nerdy-like behavior from Winnipeg, Manitoba and Waterloo, Ontario. I'm Jocelyn, my co-host is...
Diana.
This is episode 165. Again.
Again. Because technical problems. Yay!
Sorry, second attempt at recording, so if we sound a touch less enthusiastic, it's after 7 o'clock Manitoba time. Jocelyn's usually in bed by now.
It's not even late here, and I'm an hour ahead of you. I am baffled.
I usually lie in bed and listen to a book for like an hour or two before I go to bed and knit with my eyes closed because my eyes are quite exhausted by this point in the day, so.
Fair enough.
I am very, like, everything's blurry. Like, I know you're there, but oh man, I got nothing. All right, goodness. So technically we're a knitting podcast, though we do talk about other crafts. And I'm going to sip my tea and ask Diana what's in her cup.
In my cup today, I have half drunk already. Ooh, that's not working well with this. We'll just kind of hold it down there. It's, well, it did have ice in it. It's a ginger honey latte, which last week I was drinking hot, but today it is cold. For it is, still 30 degrees here, plus humidity, and there's no AC in this apartment.
You guys have an apartment without air conditioning?
Yeah, there's no AC in this apartment. We have our little portable unit, which I think we need to set up tomorrow because I'm dying a little bit.
Gross!
Should we talk some knitting?
Sure, I mean, I could tell people what I'm drinking.
Oh, right, sorry, I missed that part of the conversation. This is the problem with recording twice. Like, you have already talked about that. No, you haven't.
I'm just having some orange ginger tea from Stash tonight. And ginger ale, because it wouldn't be a Jocelyn drinking fest without two types of beverages.
Obviously not.
Obviously not. And a peanut butter and jelly or honey sandwich. Yeah, peanut butter and honey sandwich.
This looks so epic on camera. I have my now empty cup of water. This is my water cup. It's decorated to look like an epic milkshake, like one of those Instagram milkshakes. I was so excited to unpack this. I love this so much. It makes me happy.
It's good. I was so excited when you found, and I think we spent a good 35 minutes at that booth while you picked out your mug.
It is my favorite. It lives on my desk.
We were there for a while.
It was important to pick the right one.
This
is the right one.
It was important to pick the right one. I think it was totally worth the amount of... We were at Icon. We were going to be there for 3 days. If you wanted to spend 35 minutes at one booth picking a mug, totally fine. Heavens knows spent hours at the button booth?
That's true. I found some of those buttons today, like, oh, hey, these should go with the other. I don't know how I stashed those little pins in so many different places, but, like, I cleaned everything as I packed it, and now as I'm unpacking, I'm cleaning again, and I'm still finding buttons in places. Like, how? You just get everywhere.
Mr. B found the business card, and he remembered he'd been talking to the lady about doing a collaboration for some things, so he might be doing some button designing.
Nice.
I said, well, I'll buy those buttons.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'd buy some Mr. B doodle buttons.
I would totally buy Mr. B doodle buttons. So, no, that's it. I'm just drinking some evening tea, so that, as they say, is how the cookie crumbles. I know we recorded literally on Sunday and it's Tuesday, but I've already forgotten how many projects you have.
1.
Okay. Oh boy. Uh-huh. Yep, today was a caffeine day even, so I don't even know. We talked about why my brain is dead, right? Yes. You and I, you know why I'm brain dead today. Goodness. All right. In which case, I will go first. I am continuing work on my mitered squares for the blanket because it takes 126 squares to make a single bed size, roughly, sized blanket. And I am making these as couch throw blankets for my sister and my niece for Christmas. There is no pattern. We should be used to this at this point for me. I'm literally making 126 5-inch granny squares or mitered squares, and then I'm going to sew them together with a fancy top stitch in the same color of yarn that I will use for the border. And I will do a quick crochet border around it, fold them up, and call it done. They are scrappy. I'm using acrylic because my sister hates hand wash. If it's hand wash, hang dry, she wants nothing to do with it. She just no. Not her cup of tea. So her blankets and her stuff she is super happy with acrylic. So that is what I'm doing. I have a ton of squares. I actually have completed over 30 squares. So I only did, as of Sunday, I had done 6. Now that we're at Tuesday, I've done 7 since the last time we recorded. Because I finished a green one. I'm
Yay!
on one right now while we record. So in some random light green acrylic, I can sort of show off the pattern. So because it's a mitered square, it's got that beautiful sort of, it's not a center double decrease, but that's like the easiest way to describe what it's doing, because you're knitting to, in my case, to the stitch marker, which is at the 22 stitch marker, which is halfway through because I cast on 44 stitches. And then I knit 2 together, slip the stitch marker, and then instead of SK, I knit 2 together through the back loop, and then I knit to the end, knit through the back loop for the last stitch. And that's what you do till you get down to 2 stitches, and then you bind off and you've done a square. So I keep working on that. I've done several in the dark green. It's really dark, and I have to stare at it for a long time to register that it's green, because my brain can't quite decide if it's green or like a dark kind of gray. Oh,
Definitely green. It's a very nice green, though.
It's very nice. Oh, dark colors. How am
Oh
I
no, I have
doing?
problems.
What are you
How
doing?
have I done? I got my fingering weight yarn tangled in my mechanical keyboard. I solved my problems. Gamer knitter problems.
Holy Hannah. Really? And I did a couple of blue squares, of which, I got a solid blue square, and then I've got the blue into the green. So got a chunk of squares done, which is good because I keep needing to make more squares because I need a lot more squares still. A lot more squares. But we're into stash dash, so do this, be a lot of yardage. Or meterage, since they function in kilometers. So that is the first of 2 things. And now I'm going to make Diana go so I can have some drink.
All right, let me just get my hook back in here. My one project that I've been working away diligently on since last week is the lighthouse shawl. It is a crocheted shawl. Still loving how that color's picking up. Also really impressed with the non-green screen background replacement.
Well, kinda. It likes to jump around a bit, so it's not
not
super
perfect,
great, but
I'm still really impressed that it's doing this without a green screen.
yes, I think it's, as far as a non-green screen background goes, it's compensating quite well, but you do get some glitches, so.
Yeah. Eventually I'd like to get some kind of green screeny thing going on. But anyway, this is a lighthouse shawl by Not So Cute Designs. Out of yarn.
KNOT, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Knot as in tie a knot, sew as in sewing needle and thread.
Yep.
And the yarn is Midnight Cravings on their Lush base, which is a 4-ply fingering and is so squishy, and the stitch pattern makes it extra squishy. Ooh, that's doing interesting things with the background replacement. Here we go.
It's doing
squishy. I'll just hold this real still.
It's an extended single crochet that's making that ribbed effect?
Yeah, extended single crochet through the back loop.
Yeah.
And it's so squishy. I'm really happy with it. And the color's even showing up okay. This is Sangria, which is like a red wine color. And I should have the other colors here. My color 2 is going to be Canasta, just showing up a little bit yellow. It's a white base with the same red speckle and like a dark teal.
Yeah.
It actually looks like a cake. I posted a picture of this being a cake with a cup of tea on Instagram. Because this one actually does look like a cake. And then color the 3rd, just like in the sample, is going to be Smoke and Mirrors, which is this lovely silvery gray color. So stack them correctly. I'm pretty pumped about this color combination.
I feel like I need to post a picture of a real piece of cake next to some knitting.
Yeah, I have no
Then
real cake.
I'd have to make a cake. I'm not sure I want to commit to a whole cake.
Fascinating. I wonder why it's blocking out that one ball of yarn.
Canasta does not exist. You can have the other two colors, but you can't have canasta. So white.
Yes, I'm having so much fun playing with this.
Stop messing with the poor people who are watching this podcast.
It's floating. I'm sorry, I'm having fun with the tech. I like finding the holes in it.
This is what happens when you podcast record with somebody who's in the tech industry. The wrong sorts of things are amusing.
It's so fun. It just like disappears, and I want to know why it does it to that one. Like, what
Only
is
that one. Maybe because it's white. Like, it looks like you're holding nothing. Like, I understand you're holding a ball of yarn, but it just blanks it and a part of your hand out. It's just gone.
Okay, I'm gonna stop playing with that.
Oh, geez.
Also, this lovely background is a picture that I took of some yarn at Knit City 2 years ago. So I don't know. I'm having fun with this. This is probably not the best for video podcasting, but you know, I'm having fun.
We run a very professional operation here, lady. I'm sitting in a camp chair in front of my computer with a screen partition my dad made for me with a shawl draped over it so it looks classy.
I like the actual background here is Chris's computer desk, and I didn't really want to have that on, so I'm gonna, when it's cool enough to actually be moving furniture around, which is not going to happen till the weekend, I'm going to rotate everything 90 degrees so that my face is facing the window so I get the nice natural light, and then it'll be a closet with a white door in the background, so it'll be nice and plain. And
yeah. No, that's totally fair. No, 30-degree
so
heat.
You get this week.
Is not moving heat. Too hot. That's too hot. All right.
I'm just
the only other thing
melting a
I
little.
worked on. Ugh, just gross. I've been working on my shrug again. So this is a really old project that I pulled out and dusted off, mostly because if we're honest, Red from our knitting group here in the city was working on hers, and I was like, oh man, I really enjoyed working on that. I should get that finished. She's still miles ahead of me, and that's okay.
I can outknit any of us.
I have now bound off my body section as per instructions. So I measured it the other day. I think I said something like close to 6 or 7 inches of finger weight knitting is what I ended up doing. So I'm making this shrug again out of some beautiful gray with a light sort of silvery tint. It's a light dove gray. Cotton blend yarn. I don't remember what the other part of the blend is, but I know it's not a full cotton, it's a blend. And you can feel that it's a blend because cotton takes a bit to soften up, and this is starting quite soft.
Was it a cotton silk blend? I have this vague idea that it was a cotton silk blend.
Could be. I have a lot of cotton blends in my life, and I love cotton, and there will be more cotton blends in my life because I love cotton. So hating being overly warm, I have a thing for cotton in the spring and summer. So I've done that part, and I'm working on the sleeves. I had started the sleeves in the round. What?
I'm on the computer. I can look it up. Yeah, I'm going to look it up right now.
Oh, I think you said something like we talked about it last April.
Oh yeah, I gotta go ways back.
So I had started working on my sleeves in the round, and then I discovered I was having some problems and that the sleeves were way too big. So I did not cut my yarn. This is just a section of yarn I'm using because I don't mind weaving in ends and stuff. So I pulled off the needles to fix what I'd done wrong, realized the sleeve was way too freaking big, and went, that's not going to do. So I've had to do some pattern hacks, and I decided to knit the sleeve flat because I don't mind seaming. So I'm knitting the sleeve flat, and what I did is I cast it on for the right number of stitches for my size, so that way we could sew to the arm, like connect. When I sew it up together, it'll connect properly, and you won't get weird bunches because that's awkward. But I have steeply increased my decreases that they've called for. So I'm going to steeply do the decreases, which will look a little funny when it's hanging or when it's spread out, because it'll be kind of a sharp angle till we get down to my actual arm size. But once I'm at my actual arm size, I'll just go around till I get to the elbow, which is where you're supposed to do it to, and then the little 2 inches of ribbing. But I figure between that and, let's be honest, when I just put it around my arm and held it down, so I'm marking my decreases, using my thumb as the space I will lose for seaming it up the side. It's going to be a moderate loose fit up here, so I'm not going to get a bunch of bulky buildup, which tends to be my problem between the size I need for the girls and the size I need for everything else. I always get too much material in here because there's such a size differential. That should lessen that size differential issue I tend to have. So I do the same thing in sewing patterns. I tend to, because I have to make it knowing that I have to put the girls in there, but if I make it so that it fits the girls, it's so much extra fabric everywhere else, it just makes me larger than I am. No one looks at me and thinks, man, she's going to float away in the wind, or if she turns sideways, we'll lose her. Like, that's not my body frame. That's not my body frame. But I do not need to make my body frame even bigger than it is. The size it is fine. Things should fit properly. That's just a rule I have. Diana can tell you, my wardrobe is structured. You can tell where I am in my clothes. I'm not comfortable in the super baggy stuff. So I make those adjustments in sewing patterns. So it turns out that I'm just going to start doing that in this one. So I am loving the fabric that I'm getting out of the cotton. I'm super happy with it. So I'm going to keep working on my sleeve. I was hoping to be farther along, but I had to restart my sleeves. So fine. With any luck, next week I will be done my sleeves and working on the ribbing from I don't know where. It's intense, guys. But I had already brought out my spare set of 4mm needles, so I might try to give myself a break between sleeve 1 and sleeve 2 and do my pickup for the ribbing, because it's intense. Then that way I can give myself a break. I can do the pickup and knit the first couple of rows in ribbing, get mad because I'm ribbing, and then knit my sleeve. It'll help me knit my sleeves is what I'm saying. Gotta make decisions. So those are the other two things I'm working on. But again, that's a lot of progress knit-wise in a week. So I feel happy about that.
I'm still trying really hard to find where we talk about the shrunk again like a year ago. We used it as a screenshot one week, but apparently we did not talk about it.
I don't know how you choose the screenshots for the episodes. I know in your show notes, you looked the first time we record, somewhere in your show notes, you had us in like late March, April-ish. I figured I would have to sit down, get the episode titles from you when I talked about it, and just literally go watch myself because I didn't write it down in my project notes. I wrote down my start dates and stuff, so like that's in there. At some point I started a project page for the project. I just didn't put any notes in.
I can tell you it's around episode 106. Like, cool. We talk about it in 106. I just apparently never wrote down what the yarn was.
It's okay. I don't remember. I think it might be a Premier cotton, but I'm not 100% solid on that one. So there is more cotton coming to you guys because Sarah from Cozy Up Knits is going to release a cardigan pattern shortly, and it looks like a nice drapey one. It's designed to use as scraps. And I've got a bunch of solid blue colored cottony yarn kicking around that I could do a stripy blue toned cotton cardigan with a white contrast band cuff shawl collar thing. Now, I mean, she's designing it to be DK held with a mohair, with like a lace weight mohair, but I don't. If you guys are long time watchers or listeners, you know I'm not a mohair fan, so like I just don't hold mohair with it.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll just get gauge with just the DK weight yarn itself and go from there. So I'm excited. It's not even out to testers yet, so I'm just like, when that's ready to go, I'll just cast that on, because then I can have a cotton cardigan that I can wear. So, but again, I mean, like my cram cardi that lives on my computer desk, or in this case, camp chair that I'm currently sitting on, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to wear it or not today. Technically, I have that one swatch I knit for it. It's crocheted. There's one swatch I crocheted for it, but I don't have enough yarn to do a secondary one, because I made the first swatch big enough it could be a pocket. So that has elicited some debate in the house with my sister. Do I do 2 different colored, like just pick a different color yarn that I like a purple or something, and crochet the cram cardi pattern in pockets, and just sew different colored pockets on the front so I could have my cell phone in the front? Or do I take my one swatch that I have done that's in the right gray and sew it in on the inside of the cardigan and have a hidden pocket? There's been some debate. So stay tuned for that exciting piece of developmental news. We live an exciting life in this household, people.
I feel like the contrasting pockets could be really cute.
So
but also hidden pocket.
But hidden pockets. You see the debate going on.
I do. I see that this is a difficult debate.
This is just not a quick slapdash, make up your mind and go sort of situation. Like, you gotta sit here and contemplate some crap. Because I've got some really pretty spring green spring green acrylic that would look great as a contrasting pocket on the outside.
Ooh.
Okay. So I gotta do some debating and thinking in my brain for a bit. So also, how much time can I dedicate to it? Because doing the 2 pockets will take more time than just sewing the inside. So that's something to think about too. Also, every once in a while, when you look down, the background corrector decides your headphones don't exist.
I know. I'm trying to remember to sit up. It's just I'm like wilting like a flower.
So am I. Entirely different reasons. Oh, goodness. Well, that's it for projects. That's it for knitting. So I don't know what's next. What do we got next? I don't remember.
We're talking about wool gathering.
Well, you made a thing.
Yes, the reason I only have one knitting project, well, one yarn-related project, is because I wrote a code yarn-related project. That's a sentence.
That's not a sentence.
So in my unemployment, I desperately needed to write some code because that is my normal day job. I solve logic puzzles by writing in arcane, mysterious languages. It's basically what writing code is. So I decided that my side project, until I found a job, was going to be making a Twitter bot that generates random queries the Ravelry API, which is actually super nice to use. But I will not wax poetic on that because I don't think we have any software people watching us. So I'll just, it's very nice to work with. And so then it takes the results of that query, generates an English sentence with a link to the pattern, and then tweets it.
I'm just quietly sitting here on the other end of the screen while you talk, eating my sandwich.
Okay. This is what I do for a living. I'm really excited about it. So I very successfully, I have RavFacts, RavFacts, RavFacts on Twitter. If you want to follow, the artwork is terrible. It's a Twitter blue robot head with the Ravelry pink eyes on the Ravelry green background. It looks terrible. Like a 5-year-old could draw it better. My art skills are meh. But the bot works great. It's every hour it's been tweeting out something interesting.
I know, because I follow it and I get notifications.
So over the last 2 days, I expanded on it because it was starting to tweet a lot of duplicates, and Twitter doesn't let you tweet duplicates, and I was starting to get worried that if it tried to tweet too many duplicates, it would get disabled, and then it's just really annoying to have to re-enable it because you actually have to talk to humans, and it's just...
What's human interaction?
I know, what is that?
I don't think so.
So I've expanded it.
I was going to show you a thingy and I'm in the wrong freaking Twitter thread, wrong freaking messenger thread. Hang on. Keep talking. I have a purpose.
So it will randomly select a sort,
okay,
of which there are 15 different available sorts that I coded. So, when you go on the Ravelry pattern search and you get that drop down, and you can search by hottest, most projects, most queued, whatever.
Yeah.
I have,
You can get really more specific than that too.
yeah. So that's just the first parameter. So you have all of those, and then I have almost all of those reversed. I skipped a few because I just couldn't figure out how to word them in the context and format of my sentence.
They're just
Also, I don't like, what's the hot, like, hottest hot right now is like, what's the most popular thing like right now?
mm-hmm.
What's the reverse of that? Like, how do you describe that in an English sentence? What is the reverse of the hottest pattern right now? The coldest pattern? The least hot pattern? The pattern that used to be hot the longest ago? Like, what is it?
Well, I don't think the longest ago makes a sentence.
Yeah. So, like, I couldn't figure out how to make an English sentence out of it, so I dropped that one. So there's no reverse hottest right now search in my bot.
I kind of want your bot to start tweeting the reverse hottest as being a statement. That just amuses me on a personal level, but I do understand your problem. Nobody takes my English seriously. You should never take my English seriously. What I wanted to show you is that a dude. You married his brother.
Okay.
Technically your family.
And he does art?
He did our logo and our background banner.
I know, I just needed to throw up something quick so that there was a picture, so
He would
it's bad.
probably help you out if you asked.
Probably. I just haven't asked. I was gonna say I'm proud of my little art. I'm not proud of my little art. I'm lazy about my little art.
I think you should be proud of the Rav Facts because that is really good.
I'm proud of the bot. I'm not proud of the art.
Everybody
yeah.
turned in this week to watch me eat, right?
So Ravfax will pick a sort, and then it'll pick whether it's free, paid, or discontinued categories.
You could go by star ranking, couldn't you? Like 5-star ranking, 1-star ranking?
Yeah, I've got highest and lowest rated in there are things it can sort by.
Hottest, not hot? Could it be the not hot?
Because if you reverse sort the not hot, it's things that were hot once, like 10 years ago. And I don't know how to word it. Maybe. Some retro gems. I don't.
Retro gems might be okay.
Or nostalgia.
Flash of the.
And then because I have a very rigid sentence structure, it's
yes.
It's availability, or no, it's sort. It's availability, and then craft type.
Okay.
So whether it's knitting, crochet, loom knitting, or machine knitting.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's pattern, and then the pattern name, and then the link to the pattern.
I know, we'll have to think about that for a bit. Yeah, but there's got to be a way to word that so that it'll work within your sentence structure format.
Yeah, so yeah. So I have this whole big to-do list. Like, I want to do things like sorting by designer country, and like I want to add, my next thing to add is going to be English versus non-English patterns, because there are like 300,000 English patterns and only a few thousand non-English patterns. And so if you do any of those sorts on the non-English patterns, you get some really cool stuff. I was playing around with it and I accidentally fell in love with a German sweater designer, and like I can't read any of her patterns, but I love like 80% of her sweaters, and I'm creating problems for myself.
Yeah, by the way, thank you for that. For all of those sweaters and her couple of her shawl designs that are now in my wish list queues.
I know.
I can't even speak English properly. Like, what? I'm so hooped when it comes to German.
I've tried putting knitting patterns into Google Translate, and it's not
it's not gonna work.
It translated the description beautifully on the Ravelry, like the pattern page. It translated that fantastically, but it does not do well with patterns.
So I have no idea how that's going to work. Either one of the two of us is going to have to learn German. And I'm not voting for me.
I like dedication to learn natural languages.
I have to pick up 2 dead languages in the next few years to continue onwards to my master's. So I feel like my language quota is full up for a while.
I can pick up computer languages like nothing, but natural languages that like humans use, I utterly lack dedication for that.
Doesn't your husband and Mr. B, can't they do occasional bits of German anyway?
Mr. B can. I think they can both do a bit of Spanish, and they can definitely do French.
Yeah, well, they went to French immersion school, so I would hope so. They have a lot of problems. I can never remember the assortment. But yeah, Mr. B's got a thing for languages. He's quite good at the ones that he knows, which is a heck impressive if you can hold multiple languages in your head. I don't even know my own national anthem in one language, so I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, on the bright side, the next thing we talk about is our Patreon thing, which is a monthly, for us, it's a way to give back to you guys, and for you guys, if you are capable of doing so, monetarily supporting us. Everybody who does so at $5 or more a month, it sort of allows greater access to us. Like most of our Patreons don't message us very often, but they could if they wanted to, because there's a message feature, so they can send me messages. Like they can send me updates every other day with projects they're working on in the message thing, and I'd get it. My phone's set up to tell me when Patreon does a thing. Right now, the only Patreon notifications I get are reminders that I have to get on once a month to do an e-knit, which is important to remind me or I would forget. And when the Patreon creator community gets together and meets to talk about things. So if you're a Patreon member, feel free to message me, is what I'm saying. Bright side is, if you do the monthly knit and watching me eat on screen is something you also get to see fairly regularly, because we do it at Manitoba time noon, which is lunchtime. So I'm usually trying to finish lunch when we start this every month.
It happens.
I try to eat early. Sometimes I forget. So it's about a 2-hour once a month knit. We just did it this past Saturday, and then Diana told me the dates 3 days ago when the meetup's going to be in June, and I don't remember.
The 20th of June.
Cool. I can't remember what episode number we're on when I ask you 2 minutes before I start the intro, so.
I mean, it's almost the same every week, so they kind of blend together.
But I can remember I need 126 5-inch squares to do a single-size bed blanket, which is roughly 64 by 64 inches.
I have similar problems, so,
Makes no sense.
I remember the lyrics to a choir song in 4th grade, like a Christmas choir song, like. Yep. But then I couldn't tell you what I had for breakfast this morning.
That's fair. I can't remember if I ate breakfast this morning. No, I must have.
Actually, I didn't eat breakfast this morning. That's why I don't remember. I just skipped straight to lunch.
I must have, because there was dishes to do at lunch. Therefore, I had eaten breakfast.
But I remember certain things forever.
Yep, that's how that works, right? All right. Mm-hmm. So there's my super garbled Patreon info piece. It's late.
Oh yeah, I suppose the other thing I can mention with the Rav Facts is I stream it on Twitch sometimes when I'm working on it, so if that's something you're interested in, watching me be silent for a while, stare intently at something, and then swear at it because I'm frustrated that it doesn't work yet, I'll throw my Twitch link in the show notes so you can come hang out and watch me swear at things and then do happy dances when they work and then swear at them again when they break 5 minutes later.
That's fair. I got super fancy. I finally put a photo on my Twitch profile.
Ooh.
I chose a photo that's over a decade old because I miss those glasses. And then I tweeted the photo. I miss those glasses. Those were good glasses.
I'm afraid I missed that photo, so I will take a look at it after.
I look exactly the same, except my hair is red and my glasses are different.
It's pretty much how I go in going back through the years in my photos. I look the same, just my glasses are different. My hair's not even different. I've had the same hair for 12 years.
My hair changes depending on, it was like, 2 years ago, I was at a bob cut, so like my hair was up around my chin. And then before that, it was blue. It was like, the hair changes. The glasses in my face. My face doesn't, but my glasses and my hair change.
Yeah, no, I look exactly the same.
Yikes. I'm assuming I'll age at some point. It'll happen. Oh, well, that's a thing. Hey, and if you can support us on Patreon, that's fine. Liking, sharing, subscribing. Diana's got a fancy word for it. I smashed that.
Like a scribe, so
She'll
that we
like a scribe.
She'll like a scribe.
Oh, my word.
Smash that like. We're just stealing phrases from other people. Like
Uh-huh.
I didn't come up with these.
Oh, we appreciate all of it. I'm really far behind on YouTube comments, guys. I'm sorry. I look at them and I know I should do it, and then I proceed to get off YouTube and leave the computer room. It's the last thing to do on my list, so it just ends up not getting done because I'm just tired at the end. And strangely enough, my screen reader and me argue a lot on comment threads as to where he's supposed to start reading.
Yeah.
Because he likes to start right at the beginning. I don't necessarily always want him to do that. Every time. Sometimes he's fine, sometimes he's not. It just depends on his mood for the day.
You just roll a mood die before you start?
I feel like it sometimes. I feel like it. Whatever. What do I know? Shall we talk books, or did you do spinning this week?
I have no spinning. No spinning, no sewing.
Okay, well, let's talk books then, I guess.
All right. I have one book.
Isn't it?
I believe you were finishing a tome topple, so you have all the books.
Yeah, tome topple finished on the 22nd, and then there was a 48-hour just readathon, and I'm still in the middle of medievalathon. Guys, I love. Can you tell I love arbitrary challenges? So, I finished tome topple, which was the 2-week one, and the books had to be at their very base over 500 pages. Didn't have to do anything else after that. If it was bigger than 500 pages, it counted as a tome, and reading it meant you toppled it. I'm a massive epic fantasy reader. I think 500 pages for a novel's small. Like, you read people like Steven Erikson all the time, or Brandon Sanderson. Those things they're
600, 700, 800 pages.
Try over 1,000.
Oh, goodness, really?
Yeah, they can be quite large. Like, I finally saw a copy of The Priory of the Orange Tree a few months ago, like before Christmas. It was not a book. It's a lethal weapon to deter men at bars with physical damage. Like, it was heavy and it was huge. And I looked at Dad and I said, well, now I know why it was like 40 plus hours to listen to it. And Dad's like, that's not a book. That's a brick you use for the foundation of a house. I'm like, it was hardcover. It was huge.
Wow. That is a book.
It's a book. I mean, I love the story, but so like a lot of my books tend to be that sort of super big. You hold it and you're like, I'm either weight training or I'm reading. I'm not sure. Like, I'll just do some bicep curls.
Switch arms.
Do some pressing. They tend to be very big books. Or they tend to be super light, fluffy romances or like mangas, which like weigh nothing at all. So for the tome topple, I had to finish, what was it? 2 books last week. Yeah, I'd gotten through 2, and I was just finishing up my 3rd tome, and I had 1 more to read last week. So I finished Tiger's Daughter, which was my 3rd book, and then I read through Absolute Monarchs, a history of the a history of the papacy, which I really freaking enjoyed. Not enough to jump on my soapbox and say, read history. History is great. History is fun. Love history, because I understand not everyone's into history. That's fine. If you are into history, I really enjoyed his take on it and how he sort of done the analysis for the history of the papacy. So obviously every person who writes has sort of their own slant on it. And I sort of enjoyed comparing his slant to what I think versus what other authors have written about. So that's my highbrow intellectual. Justin spends too much time reading for fun. For fun, history, essentially textbooks. For fun. I'm weird. I was pointing out to my niece earlier today, I have a book on the cultural and the cultural and scientific history of rain.
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 That
You shouldn't surprise you.
Very in depth.
It was quite in depth, yes.
I mean, I was really skeptical about Consider the Fork and like food history being interesting, and it turns out that's absolutely fascinating. So, I'd read it.
Well, you were with me when I bought the book about the human cadaver.
I mean, cadavers are interesting.
What happens after you die? Like, what is the lifespan of the human cadaver? It is a little more intense than he thought it was going to be. So I was like, okay, that was a learning thing. Cool, why not? But I mean, I also read books like The Real History of Middle Earth. And that was ages ago, but I remember enjoying that too. So I'm a strange cookie, whatever. The important part is I got to my arbitrary reading goal, which was Sage, which was a series. They'd done a little bingo card where you could check off the squares to go, and you had to get like 7 to 9 squares for Sage. And you could count one tome for a maximum of 2 squares for that one. And I did for most of them, not all of them, but I did for most of them. I couldn't cheat with the standalone, and my initial thought had been to listen to House of Earth and Blood, and then just say because there isn't a Crescent City book number 2, therefore it is a standalone. I couldn't do it, so I read Absolute Monarchs instead, which is truly a standalone. It is a complete book. So I did that. And then for the Just Read-a-thon, which was literally my way of decompressing but still reading, was like for their weekend, it was like read a book in your favorite spot. That isn't your bed. Read a book with a hot beverage. Like, just beautiful. Let's just sit down and enjoy reading for a weekend. All of our book reading sprints are just about sitting down and enjoying the book you're currently reading. Not about finishing one, not about doing a million of them, just reading. Which was delightful because I listened to House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. And I don't know why I did that to myself, because by the end of the first book, I know it's going to be more than one. I already want the second one. I am already so attached to the characters. Like, we were getting to like the climactic end of the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening and I'm knitting and it's great. I'm bawling because I do want these characters to be okay and I want things to happen. And I'm like, really? Really? Like, this is a thing? My alarm literally went off and it says, don't eat anything else. You're going to bed soon.
You've been told.
I have to remind myself. So I'm like crying because the main characters are in peril. Their main characters are supposed to be in peril in the last third of the book. That's the point.
Mm-hmm.
That's how books function if they're like an action adventure fantasy sort of style book. That's exactly what it's supposed to be. Oh, I was a hot mess. It's a hot mess. And the book is finished and it's over. And where's book number 2? She's still writing it.
Mm-hmm.
I know better. I did it anyway. Sarah J. Maas is an amazing author. She is one on my short list of, hey, she's writing a book. Let's pre-order that. And devour it the moment it comes out. Everybody's got a short list of authors that they'll do that for. Sarah J. Maas just happens to be on mine. So I already did that, and then I finished that and I started another one in the 2 days between when we recorded and now.
Oh no.
Ready to head to your show notes?
All right, what am I adding?
Well, we don't need to add the Sarah J. Maas one because that was already on the list. But we do need to, apparently, I'm receiving emails from someone. How to Date Your Dragon.
How to Date Your Dragon.
How to Date Your Dragon by Molly Harper. Thank heavens for simple, easy to pronounce names, because we just had the discussion how bad I am, right?
Is this like historical dating or like romantic dating?
It's a romance on Audible.
Oh, okay.
That's on Audible. Go get it.
Oh, okay.
Go get it. Go get it. Romance on Audible. I have Audible. I have Audible Escapes, which means I can listen to, you can listen to some more than just romance on Audible Escapes. I get recommendations for horror, for literature, for historical fiction. Like, I get a bunch of them. I do a lot of the romance of them. Molly Harper is a new to me author. Oh my goodness. I am delighted with her writing style. And the narration for How to Date Your Dragon is a dual narration. So she writes the chapters by character. So you get the female perspective and the male perspective for the main primary protagonists. So they have a female narrator for the female chapters, and they have a male narrator for the male chapters.
Oh, okay.
Which is always delightful to me, because then you get the male narrator doing the female character voices because it's from the perspective of the gentleman, and you get the female narrator doing the voices from a female perspective because it's the female side of the. But I just love how the stories work out when you sort of stagger those. It's the same way they did in the Expanse series, how they do it from one character's perspective, then they do another character's perspective. It's the same idea. It's just in romance format. So this one has been absolutely beautiful. I love the words that they're putting together because it just makes you laugh, but it's not so over the top. You're like, what am I listening to? You're like, yeah, no, I could see that. Okay. Yeah, no, okay, yeah, I would absolutely do something like that. Great, that's wonderful.
And dare I ask, is one of the main characters a dragon?
Yeah.
This is a shapeshifty thing?
Or
do they not? Oh, shapeshift.
He's in human form, so we shapeshift.
Okay.
Thank heavens, I never need to do another Tyrannosaurus Rex that doesn't shapeshift romance ever again in my life. Once is sufficient.
I shouldn't be surprised that that's a genre, but I'm just a little surprised that that's a genre.
It's at the same sort of bottom level as the white trailer trash zombie romance I read. That was how the character described herself. She was a white trailer park trash zombie.
Okay. You read very interesting books.
I have been known to find things and have had people go, this is the worst thing ever, and my brain go, okay, no, I gotta judge that for myself. So it gets onto my list. I don't think I ever need to read the one that read that she talked about at my birthday, like 2 years ago, when we were at Kauai Crepe, where we breasted boobily down the stairs.
Oh, I remember that phrase.
I don't think I need to read that one. I think breasting boobily down the stairs tells me everything I need to know.
Oh no, I think we need to read the rest of that.
I'm like, no, I feel like I'm good there. And I will read some cheesy stuff, and I will watch some super cheesy B movies and super cheesy ass day, and I will watch and consume a veritable smorgasbord of truly awful content and be delighted as all get out about it. I'm just super happy in my strangeness, and I'm okay with it. But yeah, no, How to Date Your Dragon so far has been that beautiful, well-worded comedy, but not absurd. So you're attaching yourself to the characters, and you're like, okay, I see where this progression is going. It isn't just they see each other and instantly fall in love. They see each other and go, okay, I mean, you're good looking, but I think you're a nuisance. And then they sort of like, okay, that's way more believable. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I decided I also needed a romance this week, so and I don't possess one, audio or physical or otherwise. So I rented an ebook.
Audible escapes. There's some options for you.
I rented an ebook on the library app. It's a pretty generic romance story. They're in Alaska. He's a millionaire, but he's like barely tame, and she's like getting over the trauma of an ex, and he wants to possess her, and she never wants to be possessed again, and it's...
Do this one instead. She's in the bayou, and she's an anthropologist studying different social cultures, and he's the town sheriff.
Okay, all right. I'm intrigued.
But be careful. The gators are peeping toms, so don't change near your windows.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you want to read it now?
I do want to read it now. Oh,
so cute.
Oh, When I picked up The Expanse again today while I was
Oh, good.
sitting by a breezy window.
Finished book 8.
There's no air. This room has no airflow. I'm dying. I'm melting. I'm just like, I can see myself melting in the camera. I'm expiring.
Are you stealthing?
Maybe I'm just perspiring. Perspiring to expire. Perspiring towards expiration.
Don't sit out of the fridge for so long? Like, I don't
Aging like a fine milk.
You. So much you right now. Like a fine milk. You are not blue cheese.
Those are very specific cultures. There's this guy, Australian, New Zealand. Anyway, there's this like Australian grandfather on YouTube, and his hobby is to make cheese. And so every video starts with "G'day, curd nerds," which is the only thing I can say with a half decent Australian accent. And but it's just like a 45-minute video of him making cheese. And so I've learned so much about, like, he's been on a blue cheese kick lately. And so I've learned so much about blue cheese. And it's just so wonderful and zen to listen to this Australian guy talk about his curds and his whey and his cheese is the only thing I can talk about with an Australian accent now.
I can't judge you because I think I watched a 20-minute video on cowboy coffee, and it's literally this dude who makes coffee, and he takes 20 minutes to explain to you how he makes his cup of coffee. It is very Texan, I'm guessing. He's a very cowboy aesthetic.
Wow, 20 minutes to make a cup of coffee.
He goes into great detail about how he makes his coffee and how he chooses and what he and his process and stuff. And I watch that happily. I will never make coffee like that, but I'm quite content to watch somebody else do it.
All right, I'll throw some links to these in the show notes. Cowboy coffee. And the cheese one that I don't remember what the channel's called.
That's okay. I'm going to have to go find the link for the cowboy coffee one for you. But I mean, it gave me a break from Time Team. Most of my life right now, if I'm not watching knitting YouTube or sewing YouTube or booktube, I'll watch a lot of YouTube.
Yeah, me too. Lots of sewing YouTube.
Is Time Team. Just countless rerunnings of my favorite Time Team episodes. And that's all about digging up things in Britain. Defines my life. It's so cool. I could never have been an archaeologist because I don't like being dirty. Quite a girl about these things. And B, even at my best vision, really wasn't good enough to sort of do that and sort of see differentials. But I certainly love watching other people discover these sorts of things. And the talks about it makes me very nostalgic for school.
I wanted to be a paleontologist when I was little, so I was definitely in the camp of digging stuff up in the dirt.
I find things like flint tools fascinating, but I wouldn't be able to visually do it. Never. I would have never been able to visually do it with any sort of accuracy. So I always sort of knew that if I did history, it would have to be from like a historian perspective. And I have no problems, as I've proven in my book section, for fun reading about the Catholic Church. So apparently it still holds my attention. So. Listen, illuminated manuscripts are cool. I don't care what anybody says.
They are cool. Illuminated manuscripts are the best manuscripts.
So cool. Even though they're quite dry. So cool. The doodles and the margins are delightful. All right. Oh, well, that's it. We've got books covered.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Sweet. In which case, it's pretty late. My cat's probably going to come out here and ask me why I'm not in bed yet, because she's my bedtime monitor, too. So I will say, I'm Jocelyn.
And I'm Diana.
And no matter where your week takes you,
don't forget to knit.